there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too. I'm Bushka, and this is a deep dive on the M16A4, one of the most overpowered yet underappreciated weapons in PUBG Mobile. And I want to talk specifically to a few things in this video. It's going to be a fairly long one because I've got a lot to get through. The M16A4 is a Pandora's box in terms of both mobile gameplay and actual numbers and damage and everything. So let's start with, I'm going to show you the reasons why you want to play this gun. I'm going to talk to you about the way you can get better running this gun, and then I'm going to also deep dive the numbers on this gun. Now, firstly, you want to play this gun because it just absolutely covers off on so many bases. But the problem you have, like in terms of damage per second, damage at range, time to kill, everything like that. It's a red hot little raver. The problem you have is that this is a mobile game. And the nature of mobile gaming is that you're going to be playing it, for the most part, most people play it with their thumbs. Now, I recently switched to claw. It's been a big story here on channel. And I've done a lot of videos on it, and I'll do a final video with my final setup, which is pretty close to what you see here, but not completely. And the big story for me with the M16A4 is it lets me use the gun as nature intended it, at full freight. So I can tap fire this thing with my index finger very, very easily while moving around the battlefield and strafing at the same time, evading fire and being elusive, which is important. And if you're a thumb player, you can't do that, which relegates, for a lot of people, the M16A4 to a secondary AR, which is what I always used it as previously. So I'd run an AKM and an M16A4. AKM for the up-close face melting, and M16A4 for the long-range face melting. I'm going to show you a little sequence here from China #1, and it will, that's my clan, and that will absolutely show you why you use this gun.
All right, where are those guys? They're on top of the hill.
We've got a vehicle northeast, east, going in the crate. Everyone get wrecked.
No. No.
Crate denied.
No.
No crate for you! Now that is something anyone can do. You can all run this as a secondary AR and use it for your, you know, your placebo sniper rifle. And it fulfills that role superbly up to a 6x scope. But here's the thing. If you start running claw, or if you're capable of strafing at the same time in whatever format and tap firing, you will be able to run the M16A4 as your primary AR. And that is where the fun starts. And it's something that I've been doing a lot of lately and having a whale of a time with. Now, if you want to practice that, good old war mode, as always, is there for you. War mode is a constant respawn situation where you can make your mistakes and learn from them, because the way we learn as humans, the best way we learn as humans, is mistakes. And you can see all you got to do is jump into war mode, find yourself an AR of any type, tap, 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 switch it to single fire, and then work on your strafing and firing at the same time. And you get a lot of chances to tap fire, you can see here, and it helps you, and you learn, and then you get better with it. You try and move while you're doing it, and that's something you can't really do effectively as a thumb player. Now I'm going to break some numbers down for you while you watch the practice for the M16A4 going on, and I did legitimately do this. Now I'm going to show you some numbers from the M16A4. Now the first thing I want to look at is bullet speed. You have the fastest bullet speed of any AR outside of the crate-only AUG-3 drop. AUG-3 now, and it's also like, it's a much better weapon than the AUG-3 in my opinion. But anyway, that means that as a sniper rifle, you are right up there. You have 900 meters per second bullet speed, which is way faster than most of the other weapons in the game. The other cool thing about this gun is, like, the freaking fire rate. 0.075 is the fastest fire rate of any AR. That's any, including the super fast, over-the-top OP shred machine, the crate-only Groza drop. Like, that's nuts, hey, it's absolutely insane. When you consider that it has the same damage as the shell from the M416 or the Scar-L, you start to realize then why it has the highest DPS and highest sustained DPS outside of the Groza, which again is crate only. But even crazier is this number at the end there. And that's the time it takes to kill a level 2 chest wearing player. It is the fastest gun in the game to do that. And that's why I think unlocking this gun's ability to play as a main AR instead of just your secondary weapon is pretty freaking cool. Now, bear with me for one little last bit of geekery. Now, these are obviously not my numbers. These are numbers that I put the spreadsheet down below, and it's a really cool community-based PUBG spreadsheet that I've picked up. This is the PC version, but as far as I'm aware, the numbers are pretty much spot on for the mobile version as well. And this rates based on various stats, the short range, medium range, long range numbers for the different weapons. And the long range is 1 shot only. The medium range is based on the sustained DPS with reloads and speed. And the short range is the time to kill someone in the level 2 vest. So it easily wins the short range. It comes in 4th in terms of ARs in the medium range, but in long range, it again comes in top of the pops, which means that overall, in terms of the listing between the three, it falls just below the MKR, SLR, and SKS, and comes 4th as an all-round weapon for those 3 ranges. Now that's paper, that's numbers, that's theory crafting, and obviously the game is completely different to, you know, you don't win close quarters battles with paper. What you can use those things to give you the best options and pick and choose accordingly. But it's just because it says it's got the best numbers doesn't mean you're going to be able to take those numbers and put them into your playstyle. It might not suit. It suits me. I really worked hard to make sure that this was a weapon that I could get a handle on. I don't like showing bot kills, by the way, but I just wanted to have something to talk through there, and that was a bot. That was a bot. The next guy, not a bot. Not a bot, not a bot. Where the hell was I? God, I talk so much. So, I actually think the only gun that challenges it for versatility is the M416. The M416 is an easier gun to use because you can do it very easily with your thumb in full auto mode and then go to single tap mode for your long range stuff, and that's all well and good. But you can do the same with the M16A4, and it's a hell of a lot easier to find. It's so much more readily available, and I think that's a really big mark in its credit. I think that's a big tick in the box. The other thing about the M16A4, which I think is not so much a negative. In its base state, it's already pretty freaking good. So you can run it in its base state and be completely happy with it. And the only attachment you'd really need to find for it to make a market improvement, it would be a compensator. But you can see I'm running it here with a suppressor, and it's doing just grand. It's doing very, very well. I don't have any problems with the recoil. And that's as a player who's played thumbs, and I believe that thumb play is superior for recoil control. I mean, I don't have any real doubts about that anymore. I think you can qualify that by saying if you play long enough as a claw player, you can build up that kind of muscle memory to where the thumbs work very, very similar to why. I mean, this is getting off the beaten path, but if you're playing guitar, you hold a chord down by placing your thumb directly behind your finger on the neck of the guitar. You're holding a note down and you're pressuring the same point from both sides. It's harder to do that when you're playing claw on an iPad because it's very, very hard to have your thumbs facing the same way while keeping the right side of your pointer finger tapping on the button, which is an important factor when you consider playing the M16A4. I'm sure you can get used to it over time, but the straight up and down nature of thumb play means I think it's a more stable firing platform to play your iPad as a thumb player. Might be different for you on a telephone because a telephone is a very small screen. A 10.5 iPad is a lot larger piece of territory to cover. And it's also heavier in your hands. This is a real player who just didn't see me. And I saw him. I actually heard him, which was unfortunate for Manny415. He was charging down that hill, and he had an interesting weapon, which I might pick up. Manny415 with the SLR. Of course, I'm going to pick up an SLR. Who wouldn't pick up an SLR? The SLR just looks freaking hot, right? It looks absolutely electric. It's a hell of a weapon to run around with. So I grabbed the SLR and I actually stick with the 6x scope that I had on the M416. I'm a really big fan of the 6x scope. In fact, God, the SLR looks gorgeous. Does it for me, that's for sure. The thing with the M16A4 as well is I'm not belittling the idea of running the supremely economical loadout of AKM and M16A4. AKM is a pretty filthy weapon that I do very, very well with and I really, really enjoy playing with. The M16A4, one of the big reasons, and I've got to be honest about this, that I wanted to run it, is look at the skin. Look at the skin that I have for the M16A4. The lightning bolt blue skin is so hot right now, and I so enjoy it that I really wanted that skin. Like, I really wanted it. And I was filthy that I couldn't get it on anything else that I was really keen on. So once I got that, it cost me some money to get it in the crates. I understand that's all there was to it, but it cost me some cash. But once I got it, wow. There was no way you were going to stop me from running more M16A4 in videos and in game. And I can't highly rate the... I can't say enough about how cool War Mode is for improving yourself as a player. It absolutely brings you into a fantastic training situation where you can get a lot of time on target and a lot of time using a weapon that you're really, really happy with. I swear to God, I saw someone there, and looking back at it, I actually saw him run down the hill to my right. In this instance, I thought he was still in the car, and yet he's obviously not, because I kept hitting it and nothing was happening. How good does that gun look? Like, I want a skin for the SLR, but it looks pretty sweet anyway. See how I went that double tap there? Tap, tap. That's not how you fire the SLR. That is a very bad way of firing the SLR. There's a lovely headshot with the SLR, doing what it does best. It's a filthy animal. I love it. M16A4 and SLR would be my dream loadout. But if I only had one choice for just one weapon that I could use the entire time in game, that I could only have one gun, it would be the M16A4, because it is without a doubt the most versatile weapon in the game. It really, I mean, watch this. 1, 2, 3. And then I just kind of lose my... He goes behind this tree and I just can't see him. I'm like shooting, and there he is again. Oh, 3 really good shots, and then he just keeps going backward and forward either side of the tree. I'm like, okay, you know what, dude? If you're going to play silly buggers with a tree, I'm not in the circle. You're not in the circle. Let's just call it quits, and I'll go run over here and get in the circle, and you do what you got to do. You do you, baby. I'm going to go do me. So that close quarters thing with the M16A4 is really important. I couldn't get enough good footage of it. Like, I use this gun now all the time when in houses. I mean, you can see I'm moving sideways here and still firing a really effective amount of 5.56 all the way, even while I don't want to stop, because I know there's people sniping this area, and I managed to get through there just getting a limb shot. So that pays for itself right there. I mean, it's brilliant. It's also very measured in the way you approach the game when you're tap firing. You tend to not just spray and pray, and that's the nature of the gun. It has no spray and pray mode, so you have to physically aim in a lot harder and focus your mind a lot more to a laser point and be successful with the gun. So while I'm here, I may as well just talk you through my headspace here. With moving in. I know there's the guy that was on the right hand side, so I'm very worried about him. I'm pretty sure there's guys up there to the east who I'm also equally worried about. That wall there had been looking at me funny, so I shot him, and someone did have a crack at me from that neck of the woods. They've probably moved on now, but I can't tell, so I'm just moving around non-stop. And this is my new claw layout too. You can see the reload button is on the right side of the screen next to the 2 peak buttons. Someone's going to get freaking tired of me constantly moving around here, and is just going to take a shot anyway in just a short while. But look at the screen. Like, the screen has really changed dramatically. I've got my med kits and everything on the left-hand side of the screen with my jump button and my zoom. I've got my guns further over to the left of screen. There you go. Further over to the left of screen than they were previously. The grenades are in the center of the screen. The look around button is a little further to the left. I've done away with a couple of bits and pieces. I mean, It's a very interesting layout. And the reason I love it is, like, look at this. I know there's people trying to find me here, and I'm running around, moving and strafing and tapping away and jumping with one hand while looking. And this is just, this is why I wanted to learn the claw. I wanted to be able to use the M16A4. Think of it this way: if you really enjoy the game and you want to play it to the best of your abilities, then you need to use a control system that allows you to do that. Now, I'm lucky that I had the time to put into relearn and reattach the muscle memory to the right spots in the cerebral cortex. Look at that gun go. Like, this is what I'm talking about in that kind of close proximity gunfights. It just spits so much DPS. It absolutely hammers. Let's watch that one more time. This is 1.05 seconds and we throw 15 rounds. Look at the button going. Like, if you learn how to harness the beast, it's freaking mental. Like, it's so quick. The numbers are just staggering, right? They're fantastic, and they are overlooked because most people can't apply those numbers until you start strafing around. They were down to the final 2. I know where he is. I don't want to kill him with Grens. I want to force him to go out into the open field so that I can shoot him. But you're going to see, this is, you know, a gun that you don't need an attachment with, that is really not getting a whole lot of recoil fix and horizontal recoil fix from a suppressor with a 2x scope over about, I don't know, 70 meters. Yeah, and you're going to see it's still hitting little targets very, very successfully. 2x scope, man. And I wanted to use it particularly because obviously I knew I was going to be doing a video about the M16A4. And I love the skin. I'm a sucker for a good skin. There he is, just in the corner window. We hit him a couple of times. And again, we're getting shots in there, no problem whatsoever. He just bails out and he gives us a tap and we tap him back. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I really do not like the whole review style of just going to a range and saying this is the recoil pattern of the weapon and congratulations, you're done. It feels like a misnomer, a bit of a disservice to just try and encapsulate it all in that, because the human element is massive. And by the human element, I mean the way you hold your iPad, the way you play the game. If you like to play at long range or close quarters, it completely changes the way a weapon works. It's, you know, is it readily available? Like, you can have an M416, but I mean, you can't always get an M416. You can't always get the attachments for an M416. Like, I like running an M416 with the half grip and, you know, a compensator and all that kind of stuff and a tactical stock. But, you know, compared to the utility of an M16A4 that I can pick up straight off the ground and run with, just give me the M16. Look after yourselves, humans, and as always,